the metro to transport chemical weapons. So start by disabling any operational trains you find.
You can't let those munitions be distributed. You saw what they did to the castle.
What is up, my fellow Division 2 agents? Welcome back to the channel. It's the Werewolf Gaming back with another Division 2 video. Alright, I hope everyone has been doing well and staying safe. Today, guys, I got a very powerful build to showcase that I really enjoy using, guys. And I've been using this build even before the new season came in. And, you know, those of you new to this game, we're currently in year 7, season 1. But this build works even without the modifiers. But it just works even better, in my opinion, with the modifiers. With that being said, though, I do want to give a big thank you to everyone that continues to support me on my channel, especially those who always have something positive to say. With that, and also, guys, I do want to point out this build that I will be showcasing today. It isn't the best Bighorn build, or or even best build in general. Whenever I show builds, guys, I'm just showing you whatever works in my gameplay and what I enjoy using at that current time. Always take these builds, make them your own, change up whatever pieces you prefer to use, and use that in your gameplay. I'm just showing you whatever works in mine. All right, guys, so this build, like I said, it isn't necessarily focused on the Bighorn, even though the Bighorn does shine on this particular setup that I am using. This build can be played with any assault rifle you have, such as the St. Elsmo's engine would have worked great with this build, or even the Chameleon, guys, because when we go over the build breakdown, you will see that I do have a lot of armor on. This build has a lot of survivability and works great in heroic content. So what I'm going to do is let you finish watching the gameplay, guys, and then we'll go over the build breakdown shortly. And for those of you who want to stick around and see a little bit more gameplay, I will have more gameplay on me finishing up the rest of this mission. All right, my fellow agents, I hope that was enough gameplay just so you can see how this build works and performs, and decide whether or not you will want to give it a shot. With that being said, let's get ready to go over this build breakdown. All right, so the star of the show is the Bighorn assault rifle, and guys, like I say, you can obtain this on legendary difficulty. I would recommend forming the summit. All right, so this gun is fully maxed out with an expertise of 30, but you do not have to have it fully maxed out. The core attributes, as you can see, is assault rifle damage, health damage, and 10% damage to target out of cover. If you don't have that damage to target out of cover, you can re-roll that third attribute to get that 10% damage to target out of cover. All right, the talent on this gun is what really stands out. It's called Big Game Hunter. And whenever scoped, it switches to semi-automatic fire mode, dealing 450% weapon damage with each shot. All right, so when you basically just regular headshots, guys, headshots grants plus 6% headshot damage. This stacks up to 25 times. Once at full stacks, 10 stacks decay every 4 seconds until all stacks have been removed. But as long as you keep hitting those headshots, it will delay the decaying of the stacks. The mods that come on this gun, you cannot change it, guys, are 40% headshot damage, plus 20% reload speed with 20% accuracy and stability as well. All right, for the secondary weapon, I did go with a basic ACS-12 shotgun. And as you can see, guys, I did have a weapon expertise 12%, with the core attributes being fully maxed out. And of course, that third attribute is rolled to 10% damage to target out of cover. All right, the talent I did go on this particular weapon is called Brazen, and you receive plus 3.5% amplified damage on the next shot with the weapon for each pellet that hits the target, if at least 6 pellets hit the target. All right, the mods I did have on this gun is 2 5% critical hit chance mods, but you can put whichever one you prefer. All right, and for the sidearm, I did choose the Orbit pistol. It is amazing, guys. Really enjoy using this pistol whenever I do use it. But I did have an expertise of 12%, with the core attributes being pistol damage fully maxed out and 6% damage to armor. The main thing we was going for on this particular pistol was the talent, and it's called Perfect Finisher. Swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing the enemy grants 35% critical hit chance and 40% critical hit damage. This lasts for 15 seconds. The mods I did have on it was a 20% reload speed and 10% critical hit damage. As you can see in my gameplay, guys, don't really use my pistols much, so I wasn't really getting the benefit of this talent. All right, guys, for this particular setup, I did use the Gilligard set, and I am using the name version of that. The name version of this mask is called Chill Out, and basically gives me an extra mod slot. But as you can see, when you have one piece on, you get 5% bonus armor. 2 pieces gives you plus 60% health, and when you have on all 3 pieces, you're getting 2% bonus armor regen as well. The core attributes I did have on it is an armor core with the middle attributes, which is going for all critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Now, as you can see, I can re-roll that core attribute to whatever I want, such as skill tier or even weapon core as well. All right, so guys, we did have the chest piece on as the second piece of the Gilligard set. And on this chest, guys, we did have an armor core with the middle attributes, which was going for either critical hit chance or critical hit damage. The talent is what really, the talent I would recommend is Obliterate. And what that does is critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds. This stacks up to 20 times. So when you get all your stacks, guys, you get a 20% increase in weapon damage. Now, keep in mind, I am using the Bighorn. I know a lot of you veteran players may be looking, saying, well, that gun doesn't really, work very well with critical hit builds and critical hit damage, because it does not come with any mods that help boost critical hit chance or critical hit damage. But you will see in the gameplay, the way I have this build set up, guys, that it's working pretty good, and I really enjoy using it this way as well. All right, for the holster, it is the third piece of the Gilligard set. And I did have an armor core with the attributes I was going for with critical hit chance and critical hit damage. All right, so the knee pads, guys, I did have one piece of the Grupo Sombra set, which gives you plus 13% hit, critical hit damage. And the core attributes I did have was 15% weapon damage with critical hit chance attribute and a critical hit damage attribute as well. Now, this is where you will have a little bit of flexibility when it comes to this, your needs, guys, because depending on your playstyle and what you need, you could have went with more armor regen, or you could have went with just more damage overall. And I will show you 2 other options that you can equip. All right, guys. So you could have went with the Emperor's Guard if you didn't. If you do, I have this particular set of knee pads, and what that basically gives you is an additional 1% armor regen, which is ultimately more survivability if you needed that in your gameplay. Or you could have went with maybe the Fox Prayers knee pads, guys, and overall that would give you more damage to target out of cover, a bonus of 8% that comes automatically on this particular set of knee pads. And as you can see, this particular setup, I do have roll with an armor core on it, so it would have gave me a little bit more armor as well to ultimately give you a little bit more survivability. Like I said, guys, just use whatever works best for you in your gameplay. I was going for a lot more critical hit chance and critical hit damage on this build, even though the Bighorn does boost up the damage you receive from headshots. So, guys, on this particular setup, I was going for headshot damage and critical hit damage as much as I could. Gloves, guys, did have one-piece Bellstone Armory, which gives you an additional 1% armor regen. They have an armor core with the attributes going for critical hit chance and critical hit damage. So far, guys, if you pay attention, the Gilligard set gives you 2% armor regen, and I do have one piece of the Bellstone, which gives you another armor regen. So whereas right now we got 3% total armor regen on this build. All right, for the backpack, I did go to the Memento backpack. Felt it was great for this particular setup because you are getting 3 cores. You're getting a weapon core, armor core, and a skill tier. I did have an expertise of 12% with a 12% critical hit damage attribute as well. But the talent is what we're really going for this particular setup, and it's called Kill Confirm. Enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provides both a short and long-term buff that first scales with the number of cores attribute equipped. And basically each red core gives you plus 5% weapon damage, each blue gives you 10% bonus armor, and each yellow core gives you plus 5% skill efficiency. For every trophy collected, you gain an additional plus 1% weapon and skill efficiency, and plus 0.1% armor regen for 300 seconds. Get a max of 30 stacks. When you have all 30 stacks, you will have 30% skill efficiency, 30% weapon damage, and 3% armor regen. So that's just great, guys, overall for survival. Now, if you're new to this game and you don't have the Memento backpack, I will give you other options. But ultimately, guys, the Memento backpack will work the best in my opinion because of all the bonuses that you are getting with having that backpack equipped. All right, the group ensemble backpack, if you did have this, would work great as well. It gives you 13% critical hit damage. And the talent, as you can see, guys, is what we were really going for. And it's called Unstoppable Force. Killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds. It stacks up to 5 times to get a 25% increase in weapon damage. And guys, keep in mind, each kill refreshes the talent. So you can keep this going, guys, and keep that 25% increase in weapon damage the entire time. All right, guys, another talent that would have worked great. This gives you a little bit more survivability. It's called Adrenaline Rush. Whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, you gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds. The stacks up to 3 times. So that's great, guys. Just more survivability or more weapon damage. Another talent would have been Vigilance. And this increases total weapon by 25%. But keep in mind, when you take damage, it disables the buff for 4 seconds. So that was 2 other options. Or you could even went with the Bloodsucker talent, which basically killing an enemy adds and refreshes a stack of bonus armor. Depending on which version you have, guys, you have the perfect version is giving you 12%, but the regular version is giving you 10%. So like I said, ultimately, guys, these are other options that you can use if you do not have the Memento backpack, but the Memento backpack will work best in this particular build because it is giving you that 3% armor regen, and it is giving you that 30% increase in weapon damage and 30% skill efficiency. All right, your talents, you just have your skills, you just have the skills you prefer. I did use the Crusader shield, but you could have easily, you didn't really even need a shield with this build because you have so much armor and armor regen. And I did use the Striker drone primarily for the draw aggro, guys. And it also does pretty good damage in my opinion as well. All right, guys, so let's take a look at this modifiers. And let me point this out. You do not really need these modifiers, guys. I was using this build on the previous season without these current modifiers, and it works great. But ultimately, guys, this build does play well with the current modifiers because of the way it's set up, and we'll go over that. But I did use the Assault Link, which basically for every non-blue core, non-red core you have equipped, you will get a increase in 5% weapon damage, which is great, guys, because we do have a good bit of blue cores in this particular build. Like I was saying, you getting 5% increase in weapon damage for every non-red core. Your firearm attribute is set to 5. It is frozen, guys, and your bonuses are multiplied by 4. Passive modifiers are multiplied by 2. Allies that are in 25 meters, so you get bonus from that. Now, the passive modifiers, I did go with extra padding, and this gain 5% protection from elite per blue core while at tier 5 stamina. So that's just great, guys. More protection whenever you help, basically ultimate more survivability. All right, I did go with the safety first, which is hazard protection is increased by 7.5% for each stamina tier that you have. And I did go with loaded up, which gives you 25% of your critical hit chance value. It's added as critical hit damage while at tier 5 and firearms. So that's just amazing as well. Now, if you didn't want to use this, guys, you could have even went with the best counter defense passive modifier, and what it does is while at tier 3 in both firearms and stamina, you gain 2.5% headshot damage for every 100,000 total armor you have. You do have a good bit of armor on this particular build, 1.8 meters, and that is amazing, guys. So ultimately, you can use whichever one of those passive modifiers you prefer. All right, so let's take a look at the weapon stats. As you can see, with the Bighorn equipped, it did have 56% critical hit chance with 130% critical hit damage. Now, you could have easily changed out one of those modifiers, mods, guys, to give you a little bit more critical hit chance. That way you can go over. And now, with the ACS 12, it has 64% critical hit chance with 130% critical hit damage, with headshot being 65%. All right, so let's take a look at the armor. This build, a lot of armor guys right there, 1,760,116 armor with 176,012 armor on a kill. As you can see, base armor regen is 52,803, and that is without the stacks from the Memento backpack, so that goes up a good bit whenever you get an additional 3% armor regen. I did have max health at 561,000, so that's a good bit of health as well, guys. On this particular build, like I said, this build has a lot of survivability, does pretty good damage. Overall, really enjoy using this build. All right, so let's take a look at the class specialization, and then we'll let you get back to a little bit more gameplay. All right, so I was using the gunner specialization, and every third reload is 50% faster. Really enjoy that, guys. That can help get you out of tight situations. Killing an enemy grants 10% armor back on the kill. And for those of you guys, you could easily use the Banshee Pulse on this build. And what it does is the Banshee launches a forward arc of pulse energy that disorients enemies caught in the wave. And it also penetrates those enemies hiding in cover as well. Some other passives from this particular class is also you generate 10% of the total ammo capacity every 60 seconds, and party members will receive 5%. Also, your rate of fire is increased by 5% on kills for 5 seconds. So that's great as well, guys. Increasing fire rate ultimately leads to increase in damage. One last thing is don't forget to equip the correct weapon element. So that way you're getting your bonus and 15% weapon damage no matter which weapon you're using. Just remember to equip the correct weapon element. Another specialization that would have worked great in this build, in my opinion, is the fire roll specialization. It's great as well, guys. Whenever you do use your armor kits, you're getting a bonus. You're getting armor regen and health back whenever using it, and you will have access to the striker's shield. Since we was using the shield in this build, it would have worked great. And what it does is the striker shield boosts the damage of the user and all allies behind the shield based on the number of enemies in front of them, and the shield also scales with the number of yellow or blue cores that you have. When it comes to this specialization, always use whichever works best for you. All right, guys, if you like the build, let's give it a thumbs up. Thank you for your valued time and continued support as always. Really always appreciate all those positive gamers out there, those who just in game just as much as I do. All right, if you want to stick around to a little bit more gameplay, I'm going to finish up the rest of this mission. Really appreciate each and every one of you for your valued time. D-Werewolf out.
Take you to the mall. Wilson is still by the entrance. We've spotted a mortar team. These are probably the...
Hostile forces incoming.
They must have a lab nearby for weaponizing this shit. Make sure you put it out of operation. the rest of that crap once you clear the site.
Leaving contaminated area.
Don't let Wilson get away.
No more contacts. Great work. Wilson's unit is out of action, and you've crippled True Sun's chemical warfare efforts. Also, Kelso just reported in to confirm the survivors from the Castle settlement has safely reached the rooftop settlement. There's no one doing what happened to them, but at least you've made sure it won't happen to anyone else.